southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train.
What's going on, guys? Tony and Tristan here with the Zero Duck 30 podcast. You guys have been following us. You know that one of the main tools we use out in the field is the HuntWise app. And right now, HuntWise has been nice enough to offer any of our followers a 20% discount off the Elite and Pro versions. You guys got to check it out. That's a huge savings. And at the very least, like I've said 100 times, go download the app for free and use it. That's how they got me sucked into this thing. So but really, that's how it all started. And so check that out. But today we are really excited. We've got Nate with HuntWise here with us today on the podcast.
How's it going, y'all?
Yeah, Nate's the marketing partnership manager for HuntWise. We've been working with them, I think, a couple of years now, Nate?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. So, Nate's been working closely with us, and, we're working on some new stuff coming up. But, this all started from us testing every product in the field and to what we felt like was the best. Mm-hmm. We weren't biased to anybody, and we're not biased to HuntWise, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact that it's so good. and we really mean that, the part of the whole story of Zero Duck 30 is bringing you the reality of hunting. So we're not out to get paid by some company to just show you guys their product. This is as important of a tool as a hook to a fisherman, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, but with that said, Nate, if you would just introduce yourself and, again, like your role and a little bit of the history behind HuntWise.
Yeah, glad to be talking to you guys. It's been fun, working, talking, communicating. I think they'll come from talking via Instagram to emails to phone calls. Yeah, it's nice to be on the podcast with you guys. I'm Nate Huizenga. I'm the marketing partnership manager for HuntWise. I've been with HuntWise for a little over 3 years now, almost 3.5. I think when I started, there was about 7 of us in the office. We're a pretty small team, and we've grown to a little over 20 people now. So it's been fun just seeing the changes and the growth over the last few years. And starting, HuntWise, we used to be like a garage startup. To come to that to actually like a whole team where there's different roles and responsibilities, and it's been blast, man. It's been sort of crazy where we came from to what we're doing now. So,
wow. So, at what year did HuntWise get started?
Gosh, man, that's a great question. Jeff Corder, who's our founder, technically, he started HuntWise. Technically, it was named it's like a hunt prediction app that he started developing. He had a full-time job, had a family. He started using his evenings to sort of just code that's on the side for him and his friends. But that sort of started 2013, 2014. He basically wanted to create some tool for him and his buddies to figure out the best time that they could go hunting. When you have job, work, your family, you have other responsibilities, your time is pretty valuable, and you can't, try to optimize as much as possible. So that was his heart behind it. But probably 2014 started off, made an app, threw in the app store, and this is back when you could, create an app and toss it in the app store and just people would find it.
Right.
So he had a few 100,000 downloads within a relatively short time period. And I was like, man, I think I have something here.
Wow.
So it's sort of crazy. So he went from that to, fundraising, doing some pitch competitions, and then started growing a team. And then HuntWise came around 2016. That's really when we started combining beyond just a weather algorithm to also include the mapping side, because we knew that, knowing when to hunt, but also where to hunt were two important questions that we really were trying to answer for the outdoors. That's sort of where the birth of HuntWise sort of started, was probably in 2016.
Wow.
Trying to answer those two questions. And we've been full pedal to the metal since then.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, I was curious, whenever with any company, how they get started, what did it take to get off the ground? Because, just like us, we went out and started our first video in the marsh. We look back at that first video and we want to throw it away. We're like, but it's got some good scenes. But I wish we would have shut up and quit talking so much or something.
It's funny, like you don't know what you don't know until you start trying doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think hats off to Jeff and the team, like that he's grown with HuntWise. Just having smart people who were hungry, humble, and just wanted to test things out. And so like it just came from having, I think, a small core group of people to growing it out, hiring good people, who were like-minded, who were also hungry and humble and teachable. And yeah, it's been really fun just seeing, us as almost like I almost call it a family. That's our grown, throughout the years. We're all pretty invested in each other's lives. We all know each other's significant others, kids, stuff like that. So it's a pretty unique kind of place that I feel blessed enough to call a job.
Yeah.
Have the coworkers or just like the team members, whatever you want to call it, that we're all on the same page and we're all invested in each other's lives and we get to do what we love. So definitely feel pretty fortunate about that.
That's awesome. So I got to know, what does it take? I mean, I'm envisioning, to put together an app like that. I mean, I don't know a lot. I'm not a technologically advanced guy. I'm just not. But
neither am I.
But I guess you guys had not only like design teams, but people that are writing code and all of that, and that was all done in house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything has been done in house. Like Jeff, for the longest time, was our main developer. He had the vision. He knew how to do coding. He knew a lot. He built a lot of the background for the iOS version. He hired a counterpart to help him with the Android side of things. So, and then also scoot into having someone who could do web development, and then hiring a designer to make it look nice. The logic in the app. If you press a button, you expect it to do something. It's like the UI and the UX is what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Of figuring out making it as simple as possible, but as robust as possible too, because there's so many different situations when it comes to hunting that you try to take account for, and you try to make it simple but also functional at the same time. So it took a lot of I must say we made a lot of trials and errors. We probably went off script so many different times, chasing different ideas. I think it's one of those things that you get a bunch of people who are excited about creating. They just want to try a bunch of different things, and that was both to our benefit and probably in complete transparency. Sometimes we were like, man, probably should have invested all that time and effort into that one side project that really didn't provide that much of benefit. So trial and error in some cases, but I think like your first video, once you figure out a recipe, you figure out what you're looking for, you can sort of hone that skill or just your time to really focus on things that really matter. And I think it's not just a team that we have. I think it's also like we do our best to listen to our users. From like, hey, what can we make better? What can we do better? Like what value do you look for as a user? So we try to be really open-minded that we're not, our boots aren't in the ground like every single state. We don't hunt every single state. We still have jobs to work here in the office per se, or just we're based on Michigan. So we rely a lot of the feedback from our users, from across the country to make this the best tool as possible. So I think it's having a good team, but it's also listening to your users and your customers. I think that's any company, you need to listen. So
well,
I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it's like I think that's part of the key to our success is that we have great users who give us feedback, and we try to implement on that feedback.
Understood. Yeah, and I was just sitting here thinking as you're talking about that kind of stuff, and how important the feedback from the users are, and which also goes along with obviously taking care of your customers, and that was my very first experience with HuntWise personally that I was impressed with was I had a glitch, something wasn't going right. There was a difference between what was going online versus the app, and I put in I put in an email. They did a ticket. It got resolved in a timely manner, you know. And I was like, all right, so this just isn't a company that just created this app and said, here it is, you know, good luck, you know, you know. But that really impressed me right off the bat, and I thought, wow, that's cool, you know, that they have. So I can see that dynamic as you're explaining it, that you guys have created there, that's awesome. It's so awesome. How many users are you guys up to now?
Active users, there's some fluctuation just with the seasonality, but you know, we have about over 1.5 million users, like active users on the app. So,
Wow.
Which is, you know, we feel really fortunate that we have that kind of a user base of people that are willing to, you know, use our tool. And I think it puts some pressure on us to, like, you know, feel responsible of making the best tool for people, because, you know, we want people to be successful in the field. Mm-hmm. So there's almost like a weight responsibility. You want everyone to be as successful as possible. And, you know, it's hunting's hunting, you know, there's external factors, you know, we can't account for necessarily, but we do our best to, you know, be aware that, hey, we have a lot of people from all across the country using our platform. We need to be cognizant and, you know, not just focus on Midwest Michigan, I guess, you know, or Midwest of the country for how we hunt. That's completely different from, you know, the Southeast or, you know, Northeast of the country, or even, you know, out West. That we really, really try to be cognizant of, you know, different perspectives when it comes to hunting.
I got you.
And different needs and different use cases. Like, you know, working with you guys, it was super helpful waterfowl. Mm-hmm. Jeff, you know, he loves waterfowl hunting too, but, like, you know, when we first made this app, it was really, I think a lot of our focus has been on whitetail. Mm-hmm. But I think, you know, as, you know, we work with you guys, as we work with other people for my turkey, elk, you know, you name it, we're trying to, like, you know, build a tool that can help every single hunter on their chase of whatever species they're on. So, yeah, it's been fun.
That's cool.
Heck yeah. And, man, it's cool to see how you guys have, you know, developed over time with the different species and that kind of thing. Obviously, waterfowl this season, I think, was when that came on board. And Tony, you got to tell that story about that game warden at that boat ramp.
Oh yeah.
Did you already tell him that? Or?
I told Nate about it one time.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it again, though.
Yeah. So we were hunting a very competitive public land area in Arkansas. It's probably the highlight of competition as far as, you know, everybody's there with their souped up mods, you know, you got neon lights flying everywhere, you know, I mean, it's just, there's a little bit of controlled boat racing now. It is controlled. It's not like you used to see on videos where people are running each other over, like, you know, but
it's like Nashville down Broadway, you know,
it for sure was. It was like, it used to be no holds barred. You know, I think people just tried to drown other people and stuff, but you know, we were at this place, and in the morning, the game warden, we were new to this spot or this area and the specific WMA, and I went up and was just wanting to introduce myself to the game warden. You know, I like to meet them, and I think I've always found that if you reach your hand out first to them, it's a little bit easier if they ever question you about something, you know, so because they at least know who you are, you know, and most people that do things wrong don't walk up to a game warden and say, hey, how you doing? My name's Fred, you know, so anyway, but we started talking, and this guy, he's a pretty tough guy, I would say. He just was being hard nosed as a game warden. You know, he's more of a serious person. And he said, you know, I'd love to help you guys out and kind of put you guys on a spot that I think you should go scout and check out. And we were like, all right, cool. And he's like, you got OnX? And I'm like, no, I got HuntWise. And he goes, HuntWise? What's that? And I said, well, look. And so I went in and I started going through the map layers. He grabs my phone out of my hand and he goes, what app did you say that was? He goes, where'd you get those maps? And he started looking at, like, as if he was trying to find me breaking the law or so. I don't know what was going on, you know, but he grabbed the phone from me and he looked at it, and we were on one of the ESRI satellite modes. Mm-hmm. And what was so cool about it, and if you guys plan this, you guys are geniuses, because it blew my mind. Here we are in the flooded timber in the winter. There's no leaves on the trees. You're looking for holes in the timber where ducks want to fall into. Think of the advantage you have when I had this map up compared to other apps out there that had maybe summer leaves on the trees in the pictures. Oh, it's a picture from 2020. Well, it doesn't do me any good if it's this past summer, you know? And, but he looked at that and he's like, well, he started naming off, well, there's this place, that place, this place. You don't want to go here, you know, but he showed us right on the map exactly where to go. And you know, we've got tons of stories. I mean, I met a guy that was from, where was he from? We were sea duck hunting. He was from, the Bahamas or somewhere, and he uses the HuntWise app.
Oh yeah.
He's got
that's funny.
Yeah, he's got a property, deer hunts in Ohio. He lives in the Bahamas, and then he was coming to duck hunt for the first time in America. And he's like, oh yeah, I use HuntWise all the time, you know, and he had actually saw it from one of our videos.
That's awesome.
And didn't even know it was us. So he saw our hats. He goes, oh shit, Zero Duck 30's here.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it was,
he's doing it right. He's living in Bahamas but hunting in the fall. That's the way to do it.
I know it, right? It was very cool. But that was definitely a cool field story of something that really happened, you know. And you know, I can't go without saying that there's times where us as hunters, we rely on these tools, not just for our benefit to kill animals. Sometimes it's for true safety. A lot of times it's for safety. I mean, you're going through, if you've plotted a path and you're going through the flooded timber and you're plotting this path during the day, but then you go through and you're wanting to follow that same line at 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark when somebody else is behind you going 30 miles an hour, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. And so, you know, just to be able to have that for anything else but safety is just a cool thing. So, but yeah, no, awesome stuff. So with that said, you know, Nate, talk a little bit about, you know, I almost feel like we could do a whole episode on the different functionalities of HuntWise. There's so much this app does. I mean, you know, it's still, even me, you know, I'm not going to act like I'm HuntWise app pro. You know, I'll get on there and log in. I'm like, hey, son of a gun, what's this new thing? You know, and I'm sitting there looking through it or whatever. But kind of go over some of the main platforms, or however you guys describe them, the main parts of the app.
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, we try to do it where it's like, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to help people answer the when to go hunting and the where to go hunting. So it really gets split up into our app, you know, from the mapping side, talking about the where to go. And I guess in further detail that, you know, there's a satellite map, but we have multiple. We do our best to pay for the highest quality imagery that we can get. I'm actually pretty stoked about the new imagery we're getting on board. It's a company that actually, for 2022, they're redoing all the United States. So I'm hoping by the fall, we have all the United States, lower 48 at least, you know, basically remapped, essentially.
Wow.
You know, it's funny, we'll get conversation with people like, you know, it's not updated. Can you get this updated? It's like, well, if we had our own satellites, we would zip over and try to do it, but you know, it's not as easy as all that. We don't own satellites, at least not yet. But yeah, I think it's like, you know, it's like making sure we have the best imagery as possible, because we know like it's so key. From even like, you know, you're hunting property you're familiar with, that you could walk to your stand like the back of your hand because you know the property. There's still other use cases of just like, you know, having good imagery where you can at least see where trails are, marking your path. I think that's why we have multiple satellite base layers, is what we call them. So how you're using I think it's like the Esri map layers versus the basic map layers versus our pro map layers. Like I use all three. Like when I'm looking at new places to hunt, I'll scroll through, I'll switch my base layers probably 3 different times just to get an idea of like, hey, what does this look like? Okay, there's a little bit of leaf cover with this one. Okay, there's no leaf cover, but I think this looks a little bit better than this one. And it just helps me, just like, it's like trust but verify, having multiple sources of data coming in. to help me make a logical and the best, action plan is the best way I can say it. So I think that's what we do for our base satellite layers. And then within that, we have per state layers. So some states have a lot more data out there. Some states like Michigan, Colorado, a bunch in Kentucky, Ohio, that actually have straight up, WMAs, pre-laid out that you just pull in. And it's great that states have that information that we can just tap into. It's nice that, it's helpful to know the boundaries of, WMAs, public versus private land, walk-in areas, stuff like that aren't necessarily easy to find on the government's website.
Yeah, no,
so
for sure.
It's trying to accumulate all of that kind of like a learning curve and remove the barriers as fast as possible, especially for new hunters or if you're hunting in a new area, like, hey, where's public land? Or in this case, with the app with our landowner information, you can actually call the landowner if their number's up to date through like white pages. Essentially, we sort of tapped into white pages where you can actually call a landowner, try to either get permission to hunt, or if you shot an animal and crossed the property line boundary and you're tracking it, that you can at least try to get hold of whoever the tax records show who owns that property, that we can pull their phone number that you can try to call them. And that way, doing your best due diligence of, trying to contact the landowner before you cross the property boundary lines, is, trying to make it as legal as possible for people to recover their deer.
Sure.
Or whatever species they're hunting, or unlock new pieces of property. Like, and we get countless stories where it's like, hey, I unlocked 150 acres of land. Like, dude, that's killer. That's sweet. That's like a whole new area to go hunting. Like, it's like your first day in the woods again. Like, you get to rediscover a new piece of property or rediscover a new hunting opportunity you never knew you had before. So that's one of the fun parts of what we've done with the mapping side, is trying to get people to contact landowners to get permission. There's countless stories where we have it where people got onto new properties because of the app, and I absolutely love when I hear that. I get stoked. The second side, I guess, of our tool says like the where or the when to hunt. That's our what we call HuntCast. We have it for most of the species, North American species. The focus historically has been whitetail, where we teamed up with the likes of a gentleman named Jeff Sturgis, who does whitetail habitat solution, to study the key components of deer movement, whether they're moving from bedding to feeding, etc. So we try to do our best to help people figure out the when to hunt. And within HuntCast and our maps, we try to make it where they talk to each other. So if you set a stand, you can actually see the wind direction for that stand, and you can preset your ideal wind condition. Or in this case, for waterfall, you can, if you have a piece of property or getting onto water, you can at least see what the wind direction is going to be like, how fast it is, what kind of elements you might be facing with wind and rain. You basically try to optimize your time. Like, what? It's not a great day to go hunting. I'm going to go fishing instead, or whatever it may be. Trying to help people optimize their time, because people have jobs, people have family, have kids, or you can't be in the stand 35 days out of the fall. So
right.
That's been a big thing we've been really proud of growing, is our algorithm of telling people when they should go hunt, or basically when it's most optimal for them to go hunt. There's still, like I said earlier, there's still external factors. It's hunting. Nothing can account for necessarily the farmer next door cut his field. Like it's we don't know when Farmer Johnson cut his field. That's something we can't take account of. But with our app, with the weather, we can hopefully help you tell if the farmer cuts a field, how that's going to affect your hunt potentially. How to adjust for it. So I think we're trying to be as much as possible as almost that uncle or that father figure, that guy that used to tell you how to hunt. Unfortunately, over the years, that's gone down where people have a father figure to teach them how to hunt. But we're trying to be this guy in your pocket, tell you like, this is why like the whys and the hows and the wins when it comes to hunting, because there's so many details that you know you don't know what you don't know
Sure.
until someone tells you. So I think that's sort of the heart of the HuntCast side of we're trying to help people optimize their time of when to go hunting. The map is telling them where to go hunting.
Well, I think it's cool if you don't mind me just jumping in real quick.
Yeah.
I was going bow hunting this year, and I got on a HuntCast, and I was looking up, and then all of a sudden this video of Jeff popped up, and he starts talking about the different conditions and what you need. It was just like the pro tips for that scenario, and it was so spot on. I'm not getting it. Like you said, there's always elements. Sometimes it's not always exact, but
right.
He was talking about these. I've been bow hunting since I was 11 years old, so I've been doing this almost 40 years, and it was just I could see that. It was almost like I could see like a young hunter that didn't know what to do, that, okay, here's what it's telling me. The wind's this is the best stand to hunt. And then there's this video here about the rut, and what to look for, and, what they're going to be doing at this phase in the rut and things like that. I thought it's so priceless for somebody that doesn't know. So I can definitely see how you're looking to be like that uncle, or that figure. But I've never thought of the app that way until you've mentioned it. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's like, I was fortunate enough to, so a little bit of my story, I guess, like, I was actually born in Korea. I was actually adopted when I was 6 months. And I was fortunate enough to be adopted into like a hunting family. So my dad took me out when I was a kid. I grew up hunting as a kid. And then high school, college, none of my friends hunted. So I sort of fell out of it. So coming back to HuntWise, it's and our tool. It's like I still have the perspective of a new hunter in some ways, where it's like trying to be cognizant of, hey, you are new to hunting. This would be super helpful to know. And connecting those bits of feedback from our users, from internal of the company, to like basically try to create this tool like you can feel comfortable enough where, hey, I'm gonna give this a try. Like, just try it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the first barrier of entry for a lot of people was like, first off, they don't necessarily have someone to take them. But there's a lot of great resources out there with like hunter education to YouTube channels, people like yourselves, that you guys do an awesome job of teaching people, providing education in your videos, that combining that plus HuntWise, it hopefully will help people feel confident enough to at least try it.
That's right.
And
for sure.
If they can be successful that first time or even the third time, they're hooked. When you get that first time, it's just amazing. Like, you just see the light click. I like this. Like, I like this. And those stories are so powerful. And like, no, I think it fuels us to keep on being better every time we hear a story like that.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And keep, and I didn't mean to interrupt where you were talking about all the functionalities HuntWise, so please continue.
Yeah, no. It's like that's like the where to go hunting, the when to go hunting, and this past year we really looked at trying to help people figure out what to or how to hunt. So some of the education aspects, like with Jeff in the app, I think we want some more kind of content like that in the app, but also like what do I use to go hunting? So like almost like, if someone to go like tell me like I'm buying my first shotgun, or I need some decoys, like where do I start? We've worked with brand partners now to like get them into the app where our paid pro and paid elite users now get access to some great industry discounts on product. That's something I've had up this year, is just basically, and last year, just like trying to like connect our users with brands and products that will hopefully lower that barrier of entry of just like, what do I buy? Like, how can I save money? Like how can I, get my first pack of arrows? How can I get broadhead? Can I get optics? Stuff like that. Things that are so useful to actually go hunting with, and trying to provide that to our users with having industry discounts in the space. So I'm pretty stoked about that progress, the partners we have, and I think we'll see more where we're trying to get our partners to help educate our users on why the product is great, how it can be used, and add that additional function of a guide in your pocket for people to figure out, oh, this is why I would use this type of camo for this season, or this is why layers is great, this is why optics are good, and etc. So it's been fun to get people connected with a discount gear, and you can save, if you're starting from scratch, you can save a decent amount of money by being a HuntWise Elite member. So that's been fun to create that program, get feedback, and work with more great brand partners in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just this deer season, I lost my rangefinder, and I went on there, and I believe it's Halo optics on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think it was like 40% off. I used the discount code, and got it shipped to the house and everything, good to go. And it is really neat that you guys have that built in. I'm glad you brought that up for people listening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's so cool. And then, it also gives you bragging rights a little bit, whenever your
It's
buddy.
like, hey, I got a plug.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right. It's like, check this out, dude. You know what I mean? So, very cool. That part of it is awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been fun. I think, for us to listen to our users, like, hey, what brands would you love to get a discount on? No, we all want discounts.
Sure.
We're all trying to save money. No one wants to necessarily pay full price. So I think that's the one thing we're trying to listen to our users of, like, hey, what do our users want, and how can we bridge that connection for them? So that's part of my main goal right now. Is like, that's part of my job is with partnerships, is finding good partners that our users want. And then the next step, I think you'll see in our gear section, is like, how can we have our brand partners educate our users on their product? Because, I'm not an expert on optics. I'll let the guys at Vortex Optics, create some sort of, tool on how to teach why certain glass is good for certain, hunting situations and stuff like that. So pretty excited about seeing that and what the future will look like in the gear section for the app. So more will come on that side. I think you'll see more brands coming on board. I think we're almost at 100 brands right now. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I've watched that grow a lot too over the last couple of years.
Sure.
And like every time we go on there and look, like if we're showing somebody, like I forgot what brand it was the other day, but it was right towards the end of duck season. Tristan was showing somebody in hunt camp that didn't have HuntWise, and he was scrolling through and he's like, yeah, look at this. And we're all like, whoa, hey, they got,
I think it was AVNX, the decoys. Or was
yeah,
it?
AVNX, I think it was. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. So we were like, yay, all right. So.
I think, specifically for waterfowl, it's just like, all right, what brands do we need? Like, we need some waders on board. We need to get some,
Sure.
I think we got Frog Talk on board now.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm pretty stoked for you guys with that too, just you work with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun. I think, more feedback on what people want. We'll try to create those relationships on their behalf.
Very cool. Very cool. And, talk a little bit, and I didn't put this in the outline, but it's always been very fun for me as a hunter. But talk about the social media piece of HuntWise. To me, that's such a unique piece.
For sure.
Yeah, it's obviously when we first start, like in the app, there's like a social feed, I guess. I like to call it, it's like Instagram 1.0.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, when people could just post photos, they don't have to worry about getting, shadow banned, or just like, it's only an algorithm that certain people get seen. But we try to make it where it's like people can, be excited about their stories that they gather in the field. They can share them in the app, and there's not going to be, there's no public shaming. Like, I think that's a big thing. It's like people should be celebrated for their adventures. And I think that's the one thing with the social feed that we currently have that's been a great, place for people to be celebrated. I think it will be also more aspects will probably grow into that social feed. I call it Instagram 1.0. I think you'll see some changes in the future where we try to make it more communal based, where you can maybe connect with other hunters in your state. Again, the whole idea of like, how can we connect new hunters or people who are hunting new areas with locals or just people who are willing to take them out. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the cool thing about our space is you can come from any background, any, demographic, any, economic background, and we all have the same passion for hunting, and we all want to help share it. Um, we all have our own secret watering holes, etc. But we will still always, be willing to try to take someone out,
Sure.
because once it's like when you took Kirsten out on hunting, it's that same kind of maybe even more so of a joy
Mm-hmm.
of taking someone new out, that it gets you this reinvigorates the fire of going out yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Seeing someone else become successful in the field and you're helping them. I think that's what we want this gear or the social section of our app to look like, where people can really get connected. There can be more of a community. Beyond just posting images and commenting, we want to do where people can actually have conversations and, not like, I guess, backbiting forums, but actually like informative, helpful discussions of, new broadheads to new places to hunt to, I don't know, just like any kind of thing like that. And it'd be interesting to have like, game wardens on board where people can ask them questions on certain areas of the country that they're, interested in hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make it a resource where people can come away with not just being celebrated, but maybe some more information. So I think you'll see some pretty cool changes in the future on that side. I think that's something we're pretty passionate about. That we'll start working on here in the future.
Heck yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I see it all the time. On social media, I've made a lot of friends on there, and
Yeah.
and also, I don't know these guys' first names, but I know them as Knife Fire One or whatever it is, and which is cool. But I've gotten to know a lot of people, and I've seen that so much on there, Nathan. Positive talk. It's always if it's a kid that puts a 8-inch bass, a picture of them, everybody's like, "Good job, buddy," and it's just it is very positive, and that's one thing I do love. I think a lot of us hunters that use the social media piece enjoy is, the obvious is, hey, if you like social media and you're like most guys, you don't like the drama of the normal mainstream social media, I can go to one place and just look at hunting and fishing stuff, outdoors related things, and I think the other thing that's really cool that you guys have the ability to do is, when you post, in HuntWise, they call it a log when you make a post, is the piece that you guys added. You can show people what gear you used on that log. Yeah. So like if you post a picture of a buck you killed, you could put the bow, the arrows you used, and all the other equipment, and that's so useful to somebody new.
For sure.
And I think too, it's like, I think, for us being better about making that whole process easier, because I think it is super valued, because then like, I use this kind of broader, like, what did you like about it? You can start a whole conversation with a person, like, if you never used a certain tool, product yet, and you sort of want to get a genuine, I guess, a review from an actual person who used it and was successful, that's super helpful knowledge. That it's like having that uncle or that father figure to, like, hey, I use this because XYZ. Like, sweet, that's super helpful. Like that, it lowers the barrier of knowledge to an easier position to make an action.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Definitely. And the best part is you can post on there and you don't have to worry about it getting banned and taken down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I know you guys have felt that recently. So it's trying to make it where, I think in some ways, one, you can get followers a little bit easier in our platform, try to make that a better process. Mm-hmm. But then two, just like, the communication, the celebration, like, it sounds so snowflakey, say, but like a safe space for hunters to be celebrated, not criticized by outside forces. I think there's going to be more improvements we're going to make. And I think, we understand that the social aspect of hunting is such a huge part of this space we're in, and how can we cultivate that to be even better? And I think that's the biggest thing. We're not sitting on our butt. We're just not complacent. We want to move forward. We want to be better. We want to make this a better product. So I think you'll see more of that come in the future from us.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it certainly seems like you guys are like a step or two ahead of kind of the anticipation of, what hunters want and need. And it's really neat to see.
Yeah, I think, we're after, being around the block a couple times and getting lost and getting back to D sometimes,
Uh-huh.
we've gotten more data centric. And I think that's where we're really trying to be cognizant of what do our users want, measuring the data, not using our own internal biases. Like, I think hunters want their screen to look XYZ, like actually getting feedback, like not making rash decisions. But recently we made the lane boundary line toggle on, toggle off right on the map, just to make it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to turn on the land lines or property lines easier, faster, because we're, it's a little hidden. You can make this easier for people to access and turn on. And it's been great feedback. I'm hearing like, oh yeah, I got to turn on my landowner lines a lot faster now.
Nice.
Simple things like that I think are going to help us be better.
Sure. Well, you guys recently changed, and I think in the last year, you guys, you added several different types of various pins that you can use now, but
Correct.
also color coded those by category,
Yes.
which helps you out a lot because, like a buddy of mine just bought 300 acres up in Iowa, and he's doing all this farm, and this is where his food plots are, his tree stands, and he's got every single thing marked on HuntWise. And I told him, I said, man, it's a good thing HuntWise made those colorable, because he's got virtually, I'm on that 300 acres. There's got to be 60 pins on that thing, I mean, I'm just like, wow.
And if they're all orange, it's like, what's this? It's so, I think we're pretty cognizant of like, we need it to be easy to register, easy to read. Even with some of our markers, we've added the function that we can add photos and notes to markers.
Yes.
So if you're in a tree stand, you can take pictures and tag them to your tree stand, or whatever pin. One thing I think we're going to be focused on too is like, it's currently available now, but the sharing aspect where you can create a property and then you can actually share the entire property of all the markers with a hunting buddy or a family member.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can sort of have this tool that you can both use as a reference, that the other person doesn't have to try to copy paste and put all the same pins and he missed some pins or whatever. That's the same background that you can use as a communication tool. That makes your the whole process easier, because we've talked to guides, they're like, this is a lot easier for us to share properties. We know when a tree stand gets moved, we know where a trail camera gets moved because it's all in the app. When someone moves it, it moves for everyone else who has on that shared property. It's like live sharing. Just to be a more robust tool for groups. So obviously it's a very individualistic aspect of hunting, but there's also a group aspect that we try to make this tool helpful for.
Yeah, and me and my dad on public land have used that exactly, where we download a portion of it because it might be a place that, you don't have signal, and then we could, like you said, share everything with each other. So anything, if I'm sitting on one side of the property and he's sitting on the other, we can mark stuff as we're walking out or whatever, and it's all shared, and that's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, I want to make it better. I think the biggest thing you'll hear me say is we're going to test, we're going to iterate, and we're going to improve. So I think, anything you see now, some people don't like it, but we're always going to try and make it better. And so I think you'll see some little adjustments here or there. I think it's our job to tell people why we're doing it and show them how it's better. So trying to make helpful, impactful changes to the app. Show we're always trying to improve, but also give the why we're doing it too. So people aren't just pissed hey, this isn't here anymore. Where'd it go? Or oh, I see what they did. This is a new button. Oh, this is a new XYZ. That it does feel like you're not buying an old tool that hasn't changed for 3 years. That we are trying to make improvements. So it's that's why I think we value the feedback from our users so much, because it makes us better. It makes us create a better product.
And this is just, I'm going to give you guys some toots here. This has just been my assessment. If you've been listening to this podcast, again, we got Nate here with with HuntWise. He's the marketing partnership manager. As you listen to this, folks, I want you to think about how many times you've heard him say our users. It's about this product is undoubtedly the mission of this company is all about you. It's all about you,
Yes.
the hunter out there. And Nate has said that many times just because that's what's drilled in his head. That's what's drilled in their mission of their company. And so I just think that's important to highlight that because I relate to that in our day jobs. We're a very customer service based business. And so when I don't get good customer service, it kind of makes me mad because I'm like, yeah, I know how to strive for this customer service the way it should be, and
Right.
And you guys are doing essentially that for the hunter, and it's incredible.
Well, definitely appreciate that. I think, we got some exciting things in the future. I think, our focus is going to be a lot on the education side moving forward too. So I think that's a big thought process for us too, is like understanding, hey, this isn't just also for the seasoned expert hunter. We're also trying to make it for the new hunter who has maybe zero perspective of hunting, who just took their hunter ed course and they're trying to figure it out. And I think that gives some mentality of we're trying to have more grace with the process too. Trying to understand, like, if you're new, it can be overwhelming. If you're brand new to hunting, didn't know anything, you just completely hunter ed, that there's a learning curve, and we're just trying to be, as conscious, as graceful about it, but also create, high level tools that any hunter, any stage of their journey per se will find value from. And I think that's why we have this mentality of our users, our students, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really at our core thought process.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's pretty much what I had for questions for today. Nate, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know as we were talking, you were talking about some of the upcoming changes, some new things you guys are looking at. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't discuss during the main outline?
Yeah, I think we covered quite a bit. And I feel like there's going to be some things that we'll be launching that isn't public yet, but I think we'll have some cool stuff from whether it's public land focus to, like I said, we're always constantly improving, to our algorithm, to even just being that guide in your pocket per se, and focus on that. I think you'll see some new stuff that I'll be excited to talk with you guys again if you'll have me in the future.
Yeah.
Just some updates that we can talk about more. I think also hopefully have some more brands on board by the time this comes out, and just before the fall, and get some more partners on board. I think I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and I think it'll be cool too during when deer season's opening up here in Georgia before waterfowl, maybe talk then and kind of do deep dive just into that, and then maybe again on the waterfowl aspect of it. But definitely,
yeah, for sure,
absolutely,
yeah. And one thing that we're going to be doing as well, folks, is to do it all at once. It might be difficult, but what we're going to do is do like a product review of the HuntWise app, and we're going to do a screen record and have a voiceover and talking about the different parts, how we use it. We'll probably break it down by doing maps one day, using HuntCast another day, just the different tools within what we use to save time, how to use the social media piece, stuff like that, so you folks can get a good look at it and see what we're talking about. So, well, Nate, thank you so much for taking the time today to spend with us. I know you're a busy man, and you got a new child this past year, and congratulations on that. And we'll look forward to having you back in September. Tristan, why don't you before we get off here, where's the best place to follow you guys and to you download the app, I guess, from either Google Play Store or the App Store, but where can we find you guys?
Yeah, it's so we're on Instagram. I think it's the HuntWise app is our handle, or if you look up HuntWise, app stores are perfect. You can locate the app there. And if you want to use your discount code, it's on our website, or you can use the code from you guys and activate it on our website. YouTube, HuntWise. Yeah, those are a couple of the main ways to follow us and check us out. Appreciate being on here talking with you guys, and yeah, I'm excited about this upcoming year.
Well, cool. Well, we appreciate everything you guys do to help support us as well. And Tristan,
Absolutely.
Tristan, you had something?
Well, I was just going to say thanks, Nate, and definitely looking forward to talking more in the future. And yeah, I'm going to post a link in the description as far as their website and the discount code and all that stuff. So yeah, that was all. Really
okay. Cool. And just in case I did forget to say what the discount code was at the beginning, it is Duck30. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for following us. Again, check out HuntWise, and we appreciate you guys tuning in today. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound.